This is the town of Glendo, Wyoming, located almost in the middle of nowhere. And just north of the tiny town of Glendo, Wyoming is that little grass strip they call an airport next to the reservoir. Glendo made famous in part because the last lunar eclipse crossed right overhead. September of 2020, and I headed out with the radio flyer to the air show, or fly-in if you will, at the little Glendo grass strip. From homemade airplanes to classics came rolling in, and a few surprises near the end of it. So join me for the 15th annual Glendo fly-in. Yeah, I even got the hat. Of course, it didn't take too long for me to be at the airport, and I got an offer for a ride. This is Joe McGuire. He works in the Wyoming House of Representatives, among other professions he has around the state. Joe McGuire is very proud of his Cessna, retractable gear and all, and takes me for a ride over the Glendo Reservoir and down some back canyons, showing me how he's perfected the art of the tight turn over the years. Wyoming's beautiful landscape includes reservoirs, canyons, and natural landmarks that'll make you wonder how the earth ever managed to do that. Now, I'm not picking on Joe at all when I say he certainly knows Wyoming, all of the sights, and he likes to show off his airplane and what it can do. Probably one of the safest flyers I've been with, but, you know, he makes a thrill ride out of it. As I mentioned, there's a lot of homemade aircraft at this show. Where did you get this airplane? Did you build it, buy it?
This is one I built.
Okay. How long did that take you?
About 3 years.
Actually, that's not bad.
No.
Okay.
I had a little experience in building.
Did you? Where's the experience come from?
Just previous builds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, does that include, because I can feel the material on here, so you stretched all that?
Yes.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a fabric covering, and you put heat on it with an iron.
Right.
And that iron will actually stretch the material, tighten it up, and then you put your fillers and your final coat on.
Wow. Okay, now why the Bumblebee?
Well, I have two granddaughters that wanted a part of this airplane, and I said, why don't you come up with some kind of a logo, we'll say, to put on the back. And between them and their dad, my son, they come up with a Bumblebee.
Where do you fly out of?
Out of my own airstrip. I have a grass strip at Milliken, Colorado.
Oh, okay. So you're all the way up from Colorado for this then?
Yes, between Loveland and Greeley.
Okay. So how long does it take you to, on this thing, on an average day, to fly from there to here?
Well, I don't know if this is average or not, because we had a lot of wind.
Yeah.
And it took me 2 hours, because it's not a fast airplane, and we had up to 35 knot winds.
Right.
So that really slowed me down. Actually the traffic on I-25 was going faster than I was.
And that does happen down there, but you don't fly one of these for speed.
No.
You fly for the love of flying.
Well, and this is a backcountry plane.
It is, yeah.
So I fly Idaho.
Right.
And the Canyonlands.
Okay.
In Utah. And anywhere else that I want to take a vacation.
But of course, airplanes weren't all that was flying overhead.
Bravo is climbing through 10,000 for 11,500. This is your 5-minute call for jumpers over Glendo. I'll report 1 minute prior.
That was on my 10th load this morning.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we got first load of the day at 6:30, just as the sun was coming up.
Holy cow, 10th. How many do you think you'll do by the end of the day?
Well, I mean, the way things are going, we got a second plane now, more people are showing up, so we might do 30 loads today.
Holy cow. Now the jumpers, they obviously know about this fly-in every single year. If you're getting people to show up to jump with you, I mean, you must have, did you put the word out? Are these your students?
So I don't even know a lot of these people. A lot of this spread, like I'm on Facebook, Northern Colorado Skydive Club on Facebook. I only had 11 people sign up, which was about the same as last year. We had about 9 or 10 show up, and then I guess the word just started sprouting. People asking, what's this Glendo fly-in thing?
Yeah.
And
well, it's something they haven't been to before. That's what it is.
Yeah, and
so
I'm expecting about 30 people, and they haven't
that's good.
been here except for a handful of them.
That's good. Each jumper will probably jump about how many times, do you think?
Between 3 and 6, just depending on how motivated they are. I started buying 182s and converting them into jump planes about 2015.
What do you need to do to convert them into jump? Because I do see you have that one door that opens up.
Right. So in-flight service door.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a step.
Okay.
And then that's a 4-place seating, and it's been changed to 5-place seating. So 4 on the floor, and then a pilot in the chair. It's a 182, and those are workhorses.
Oh, they are. Okay.
A lot. So
yeah.
You know, generally the useful load on this is a little over 900 pounds.
Right.
If you take a look at that aircraft, you'll see that the color of the wings don't match. There's an extension. That's a Wing X.
Oh, I see.
And so that increased my takeoff weight by 350 pounds and shortened my takeoff roll by 500 feet. So I can get off the ground on a hot day at gross in under 1,000 feet.
So what do people have to do to get into your school, and how much?
Well, so I operate out of Greeley, Colorado. And so to become a licensed skydiver, it's about $3,000. There's 25 jumps involved. You kind of have to stay with it. You know, come in every weekend or every other weekend, but you really don't want to have a lot of time lapse because the knowledge and skill sets that you learn are perishable.
Right.
And then we do tandems as well.
That was my first jump, and I was strapped to a hippie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smell like weed.
It was actually really cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a couple of you know, throwbacks, hippie throwbacks who still skydive.
Yeah.
A lot of these kids are really young.
Yeah.
Thrill seekers.
I've seen it. Well, that's something you tend to get out of the way when you're younger.
Yeah.
And then, all right, so you're going to be up is this your, second year here? Or?
Yeah, it's my second year here, and then we usually come here in June as well and just do our own thing. We didn't come this year because of COVID, but I hope to be back in 2021. So hoping to be here twice a year, June, and then for the fly-in September.
All right. Where do people get a hold of your school?
Facebook, Northern Colorado Skydive Club.
So what's your name and occupation?
Dave Slinger. I work for Wyoming Machinery.
Yeah.
Flying is just fun.
So you're out of Cheyenne then, right?
I work out of Cheyenne. Colorado Soaring Association is just south of Cheyenne, about 30 miles.
Yeah, I see your gliders coming right next to the highway. Is that the spot? Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So did you come up here every single year for this?
This is the first time we've had a glider here.
Okay.
I've been here before, sometimes by road, sometimes in another airplane.
Right.
But
I'm going for my pilot's license, but if I wanted to come in and do this, what do I need to do if I wanted to learn this?
Well, we are a club atmosphere.
Okay.
But so you'd have to join the club and everything, but we got such a thing called the FAST program.
Yeah.
And that one, you get up to 3 glider flights, introductory glider flights with an instructor. It gives you about half hour on the ground, half hour in the air, a little less in the air. And I think it's $99. I forget what exactly that is. But I was flying, I had a license for 23 years when I decided to learn how to fly.
Right.
That's when I got into gliders.
Got into this. And if I just wanted to go for a ride?
We also have rides available.
Okay.
Scenic flights, and as you can see, our website down there, soarcsa.org, is very informative. And you can search through that for a scenic flight and contact us, and we have pilots that'll take you up for a scenic flight.
I've seen pilots with tattoos before, but I gotta tell you, I've never seen one as good looking as this. It's even got a tail number on it.
Tail number is my name upside down, and then WY is where I was born. State
is Wyoming.
Oh, that is so cool.
At this air show, they come in all shapes and sizes. There's always that one airplane that just has to steal the show. This old trainer is called a BT-13, and I got to scratch off 2 things on my bucket list. Well, 3 really. 1, I got to see one up close and touch it. 2, I got to interview the pilot who gets to fly this thing. The 3rd thing I didn't expect to happen. I really wasn't planning on it. Gotta keep that polish on there.
Spit on that.
Before we get into the history of the airplane, which that's going to be amazing enough, let's start where you started out.
Okay.
So your first flying experience was when?
My first flying experience that I can remember, I was 7 years old and was at the controls of a Cessna 182 circling this Empire State Building, or excuse me, not the Empire State, well that too, but Statue of Liberty with my father in Long Island, New York. After that, I started hanging around airports, the typical airport bum. I started logging time at 12. I sold it at 16, that's the minimum. I got my license at 17, that's the minimum. Got my commercial at 18, that's the minimum. I got my flight instructor rating in high school. The only person that could afford lessons was my coaches, so I scared my coaches, got them back, so to speak. But and then I started flying DC-3s out of college, and flew DC-3s for a couple of years. I've been with the Commemorative Air Force life member since about 20, and been flying tail dragger since I was 16. And let's see, I've been flying for the airline, same airline now for 35 years.
Wow.
And I flew for Hollywood for about 16 years, did some movies, some extra stuff. Been doing air shows since basically 1979.
What did you fly for Hollywood?
Flew a Stearman. I was in a King Air. This is all just background stuff.
Sure.
So on and so on. Another thing I did was we did some air combat and Stearmans that they used the footage for some World War I stuff.
Wow.
And just a couple other various.
You spent more time behind the stick than you have walking around on the ground.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah. Let's talk about this here then. This comes from where?
This plane is based in Boulder, Colorado. Dave Elliott is the owner. I fly with him and for him sometimes. He couldn't make it. He had family commitments, so I'm here flying it for him. I'm kind of late. I was going to fly my own airplane. I have a 1942 Stinson L5 that was a little slower. I couldn't bring it up. But anyway. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's based in Boulder, and there's about 50 of them. They made about 50 of them flying today. They made about a little over 11,000 of them. They're called the BT-13. There's also what's called the BT-15. It's just a different engine.
Right.
The Navy called them SNV, which is the same airplane with a different nomenclature.
Sure. So this comes from actual service of some kind?
Yes.
Or?
Yeah. It was. I believe it says right up here it was based on Luke Field during the war.
Okay.
It was based at Luke Field, which is Luke Air Force Base today. And
Okay.
it was based down there, giving, of course, cadets. You had PT, which is PT-17 primary training, just stick and a rudder. Then you had BT, which is basic training, stick and rudder. But then you have flaps and you have a radio and electrical system. Then you had AT-6, which is advanced training. You had retractable gear, variable pitch prop.
And this is not retractable, I
No, it's not
noticed.
retractable. It's a fixed gear. Yep.
Do people get to fly in this if they go down and see you in Boulder?
Yeah, if you bring some gas money.
Yeah. Sounds
suppose
pretty
so.
good. So you're going to take some people up today?
Yeah, I got a couple rides lined up, and I think you're one of them, and a couple over here, and then as long as gas holds out, we're okay. So
Okay, I'm working on losing a couple of pounds, but honestly, these things were hard to get into for anybody first time, no matter what the age. Now, I told you there was going to be a third thing, and the third thing is not the flight in this airplane, although that was a thrill and a bucket list item that I never really thought was going to happen. But no, there's one more thing. But first, let's get off the ground as this old expert pilot shows us how it's really done. And we rise above the field in Glendo, Wyoming, and over the reservoir. And shortly after we got up there, my new best friend turns to me and says, "So, would you like to take it?" I mean, as in, fly it. You actually want me to fly the airplane. Well, I wasn't going to say no. And that's the bucket list thing that I never thought would happen. And just in case you're wondering, flew smoother than any other airplane I've ever gripped. No, this isn't me. So I hope to see you next year in Glendo, Wyoming for their annual fly-in.
Mr. Wood? Yes. Listen to you every morning. I'm sorry about that. You should stop.